I think it's still a good market to be flipping in, just being conservative and encouraging other investors to continue to implement their strategy, just be a little more cautious and add a couple more buffers in there as well.
This episode brought to you by Suites at Madison. Meeting and conference rooms for rent by the hour, week, month, or year. Suites at Madison, where business gets done. Check them out at www.downtowntampaoffice.com. Now, on to the show.
You are listening to the Invest Florida Real Estate Show, covering topics in lending, buy and sell strategies, property management, hot markets, and tips and tools to guide you along the way on your path to real estate success. You want Florida investment real estate talk? You have come to the right place. And now, our hosts, Eric Odum and Steven Silverman.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Invest Florida Real Estate Show. This is your co-host, Eric Odum, flying solo today. Steven is not able to join us. He has some personal issues he's got to try to clear up, but we've got a great guest, local guy. Most of the folks in the Tampa area know him fairly well. He's runs the TB RIA. He's been associated with TB RIA for quite some time, Jeremy Kloter. But we're going to be talking to him just a little bit later. First, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our listeners who went on and gave us a review on the iTunes store. Free $25 is the name of the commenter, but says, sometimes the topic is a little out of my realm, but wow, are your guests smart and helpful. I really enjoyed listening and think your format and prep is fantastic. Thanks. Hey, thank you, free $25. That's a great review, and these types of reviews do wonders in trying to help us get folks to come on the show and share their wisdom with you. So if you haven't done so already, really would appreciate go to the Google Play Store or to the iTunes Store and leave us a review, and we'll shout you out on our next podcast. And also it does us a tremendous amount of good, as well as you, in helping us to attract folks that want to come on to the show. As I said, Jeremy Kloter is going to be joining us. He is the acting owner and broker for Outfast Property Management. He's been an investor since 2013 while he was overseas as a U.S. Marine when he completed his first private lending deal. Jeremy has been involved with hundreds of transactions through wholesaling, fix and flips, rental properties, property management, and joint ventures. As a guest on podcasts and radio, he has been recognized in the Florida Realtor magazine and is a trainer for the Landlord Property Management Academy. Jeremy, welcome to the Invest Florida Show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
One of our earliest listeners, you were telling me when we first met, I don't know how long has it been since we met, Jeremy? Years.
It's probably been, I would think, close to 3 now, I think.
Yeah, and I remember meeting you the first time and you talked about that you're listening to our show. You've been listening for a long time, so we're glad to finally, get you on the show and talk a little bit about what you're up to.
It's good to be here. There's so many podcasts out there. It's hard to find ones that really have like good, hearty information, and that's one that I've always appreciated with your guys' podcast and the caliber of people that you bring on. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. No, we appreciate your time coming on. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your background and how you got into real estate? And so people know you're an investor and you're a broker now too, correct? Yes, that's correct.
And you're a broker, and you have a brokerage firm with agents that do residential work.
That's correct as well. Yeah. So I'm originally from the Tampa area, moved here when I was a couple years old, and I went into the military in 2009, into the Marine Corps, basically right out of high school. And so served for about 6 years and got out in 2015. But my first kind of dabble in real estate was in 2013 when I lived in Japan. I did a private lending deal back here with someone that I went to high school with on a mobile home, and, made 10% in like 2 months. And that was like my first taste of real estate. So leading up to getting out, educating, podcasts, books, that sort of thing. And when I got out in 2015, I just got my license as like a normal agent. And that first year I got plugged into the Tampa Bay Real Estate Investors Association, tbria.com. And I think the year following is when I kind of stumbled more onto your guys' stuff and started to learn about wholesaling, did some wholesale deals. And in 2000, I think the end of 2016 is when we opened up our own firm. I wasn't the broker at the time. It came later once I hit my 2-year mark as an agent. But yeah, right now I'm the broker for Outfast Realty and Investments. I think today we have about 31 agents. A lot of them do fix and flips, buy rentals, and just help your average buyer and seller just in the market that we're in. And then I'm also the broker for Outfast Property Management. And right now we have about 115 doors between mostly Hillsborough and Pinellas counties are the two counties that we kind of operate in. Single family up to small apartment buildings is really kind of our niche, and we'll do some parts of South Pasco. But we leave the commercial stuff to you guys. That's what you guys are awesome at. But yeah, we're based here in Tampa, and I live in Tampa myself now in Ybor, and just real excited about what's going on in the area. And hopefully can add some value to your listeners today.
Yeah, well, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing in the market pre-COVID and then during COVID? What is a market changed since COVID? Has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better? And what was it like before we went into this quagmire?
Yeah, quagmire. So it was kind of interesting back around March timeframe, as the year was kind of getting rolling along. We were having some good activity just in the general market as we're analyzing and kind of understanding the activity of what our agents are doing, what's the average buyer and seller market looking like, and then also within just other communities that we're involved in, what's the investor activity, right? So the area being among the top in the rental market for people across the U.S. coming in. Also for the fix and flip market. So things were off to a good start. And then, we kind of hit some lag time there with when COVID started to hit. And it was more so like people just getting on the sideline and just kind of waiting to kind of see what's happening. And we fast forward a couple more months to where we're at now. And we're seeing, anybody that's putting their house up for sales, it's ripping on the market. We're starting to put some of the properties that we manage on the market, and we're getting a lot of activity. So I think it's beneficial for anyone that's, considering it's becoming very active. We had our probably two best months, the last 2 months, as far as closings within the company. And then within the last 3 weeks, we've purchased a condo for a flip and a duplex as well off a Facebook group, Local Connection. And so it's been white hot. So it's a great time to be investing as long as you can find the right deals. And just like you guys know, that's always the challenge, is trying to find that, whether it's off market or on the MLS. And so it's been really active. Same thing for the rental market. So our vacancies, average days might be around 3 weeks on the market as far as vacancies. And we really saw no slowdown with that when it came to tenants looking to move. Really all year, we haven't really seen a change, maybe even an uptick in activity and applications on rentals. So there's, people are still moving, people are having to do stuff, people working from home or relocating to the area. It's still a pretty active market for what we've been seeing on the, residential side. Yeah,
and it certainly seems when you look at the average days on market, that number keeps getting smaller and smaller. I just bought a property, actually I'm in contract on a property over in St. Pete. And I have to tell you that there's probably 10 different properties that I put offers in on that I was nowhere near being able to acquire. There were multiple offers on the first day. Same with the auction markets, because there's no foreclosures that are going on right now. So what you're seeing is stuff that the genesis was prior to COVID. And so it's a bit of a false market, isn't it? I mean, you've only got a handful of stuff that was, maybe some estate sales that are out there, and there's a lot of people chasing very few deals. Are you seeing the same thing where prices of properties just getting bid up very, very quickly?
Yeah. I think most of, especially the flips and stuff that are going on are going above asking. And we had a friend of ours looking for a property, and I think they offered on at least 5 or more before they got accepted, VA financing. And one thing that I thought was interesting, probably within the last 2 months, I've had 2 investors that I got connected with that were liquidating portfolios up north and coming down and just, paying cash for anything. And being, the first 2 weeks this guy was in town, was under contract on 4 properties, probably a total of $1 million together or so, and just, buying anything and just looking for a stable return. I mean, he's like, if I can get 5%, net, I'm pretty happy. And it's not in any fancy areas or anything. And we're just seeing people relocating or just liquidating in other areas coming into the market and just snatching stuff up, and they're paying cash and full price, low inspection period or whatever. So it's definitely can be tough to be competitive, especially if you're financing on the way in, on some of this, especially on some of the MLS stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm curious to know your opinion when this is over. How is this going to look? Because in my opinion, you might disagree with this, but I think we're in the seventh inning of this thing. We're getting very close on some vaccines, and certainly the doctors are getting better at treating this, and so we're seeing some improvement in the mortality rates and the length of hospital stays, et cetera. I think we're, obviously we still got time left. Maybe it's another 4 months, 5 months, whatever, but I think we can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel now, and maybe you disagree. I don't know. But the question is, what are we going to see? How is this thing going to evolve from here? What are you going to see in terms of the market? And then after COVID, what is it going to look like?
Yeah, I think everyone's in the same boat. We're just so ready for this to come to a head. And I think that it's just going to, the pent up demand is going to continue further into the year, where you might see a typical slowdown around the holiday season and stuff like that. I think it's just going to continue for a little bit longer, with people having to make decisions and move around. And I think it's just an interesting time where you have COVID and then you're running into election season. It's just going to be a very interesting dynamic as we kind of continue along and see. I think I know that there's definitely investors that we're talking to that are just waiting as well till at least the first of the year, as things move along with what happens with the election, who gets elected, what that kind of looks like before they're kind of really investing more. And in addition to waiting to see how the COVID stuff maybe impacts the market, and we just saw the other day the eviction thing getting extended again until September. So we haven't really had to deal with any crazy fallout from that, thankfully. But I know a lot of landlords are not in a good situation. So that might open up some additional opportunities for investors on the sidelines to come in and scoop some stuff up as well. So, it's never a bad thing just to be patient, just kind of analyze and sit on the sideline. But, a lot of the people that we're talking to are actively looking and just being, still cautious on there as far as analyzing stuff. But I sure hope so that we kind of move along and get out of this little weird rut that we seem to be in.
I got a hot take for you. What I think is going to happen is we're going to see, when evictions open up again and foreclosures open again, you're going to see a little blip where there might be a flattening of the price. But afterwards, I think we're going to have a pricing bubble.
Yeah. I think we've been on a pretty good run so far already. There definitely, in my opinion, wouldn't be necessarily a decrease. It would be, maybe some stabilization.
Flattening, yeah. But it's not going to last. You can't dump trillions of dollars into the economy and have it not affect real asset values. And so I just feel like we're going to pop, and it's going to be an asset bubble. I think it's going to be a 2007, 2006 issue all over again. But this is the thing about hot takes. I have this now recorded, and there's nothing, I can't take it back. And someone's going to come back to me 2 years and go, "You were the biggest moron because we're now eating out of soup cans in the gutter."
Yeah. I bought a property because you said it was going to keep going up, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. So let's put the disclaimer in there. If you're buying because of me, you got problems, right? You got problems. No, but it's just a thought. There's so much liquidity in the market that I just don't see it in their way. I think we'll see a flattening of the price curve as it's been going, was already starting to go vertical. And we see a flattening when we get the evictions and foreclosures back in the market, some stabilization. Mm-hmm. And then I think we're going to be off to the races for the next 18 months to 2 years. I really do.
Yeah. I definitely think it's possible. It seemed like, a year or two ago, everyone was thinking, oh, this is going to be the year, like things have been too good for too long. And it just keeps continuing to be that same story where, maybe another year. So I think it'll be really telling with the election on, if there's any smoke screens that are going to come to a halt. I think originally a couple of years ago, what we were seeing or hearing from other people was maybe 2022, some more, things to worry about, but then it seemed to kind of slowly be getting pushed forward. But, I think our market also brings about an interesting dynamic with, Tampa Bay, St. Pete, downtown St. Pete, things that are going on, the activity, the employment and things that we have locally compared to the state as a whole, I think puts us in a good position to, weather a little bit better than the rest of the surrounding areas. If there was something, a little bit of a slowdown or a dip and stuff, I we just have so much going on in the area, which is a good thing for, everybody that's investing locally or is currently holding stuff.
No doubt. Talk to us a little bit about the property management side and how you're coping through all of this COVID stuff. You said that you don't seem to be having a lot of problems in terms of fallout. Obviously, we can't evict right now. And so how does it shaking out? Or do you have a lot of your tenants that they're complying with and paying the rent, or do you have, and some that are honestly struggling because the employment situation? There's like, how many of them are like that? And then how many of them are just taking advantage of the situation and not paying because they don't have to?
Right. Yeah. Good question. So we have a mixture of, regular and Section 8 tenants. So the beauty about Section 8 stuff is all that, still being paid by the housing authorities, like clockwork and footing most of the bill. I would say we had an unlawful detainer that we filed maybe about 2 months ago, and that got passed. It took about 30 days longer than we wanted to, but that got pushed through, and that was kind of like a squatter situation, and we were able to get that signed off, and that was downtown St. Pete. And then we don't have any active evictions going on, which has been, we've just been thankful. Now we do have some tenants that are maybe a little bit behind, but luckily we've kept them month to month to kind of monitor closely. And maybe just give them a notice if they can't meet what we need to. But really what it comes down to, whether you're dealing with owners or tenants, is communication. So we don't have a lot of tenants that are just not paying anything a month to month. I mean, I would say we have less than 5 that have just not paid for maybe the last month. But most of them we're getting updates on. The ones that we started like at the beginning of this month, as far as delinquents, I would say half are fully paid that were delinquent. When we ran it, the first week of the month. We have half that still have something outstanding, but some of these are $2, $50. It's not necessarily rent. It might be other fees that they're owing. So I think right now I just have in front of me maybe three tenants that haven't paid anything for the month. So we've been doing payment plans. We've promoted local organizations that can help with rental assistance. So 3 or 4 organizations that we've been emailing tenants consistently. Here's forms that you can fill out if you need us to fill out rental verification or assistance. Program forms, we can do that. So we've been pretty good about staying on top of that and communicating what's coming out from the governor and the law firm that we use for evictions, and communicating that to the owner side, and also letting the owners know what's going on and what options they might have. Obviously, we're not encouraging them to not pay their mortgage either, but just communicating, trying to get updates from tenants, working on payment plans if we can, and just kind of working through it best we can, and then just dealing with not charging late fees and that sort of thing, and just communicating. So we do at least once a week, cell phone, email, text blast to the tenant to let them know if they have unpaid balances, and just to communicate. We're very upfront that, hey, we understand the current environment. We want to help you stay in the property. And, we're just trying to do our best with what we're given in the current situation.
Changing subjects on you a little bit. We talked right before we got on the call here about your plans on you doing a little syndication. You're going to do some fix and flips and maybe some buy and hold type of deals. Tell me a little bit about that. Talk to me about the syndication side of things and what motivated you to do that and how you're structured.
Yeah, so we put together a fund earlier. At the end of last year, we started having some discussions because a couple years ago, we had the grand vision of all the entities that we want to have. And so we were kind of me, Greg
Simpson,
and now Matt Kelsey have come together and put together a little fund that we're able to just do projects with. So originally it was more just, we have a private investor that's funding us on joint ventures on the side. And now we just have a consolidated area where we're able to put money into deals. So yeah, I think we had a condo purchase within the last couple of weeks. We found a duplex that was off market that we paid cash for, and then get those things kind of performing. So that's been an exciting thing for us, has been kind of consolidating our efforts into one area where we can have a couple different strategies of fix and flips, some lending if we want to, and buying some rentals, and then utilizing our entity structure that we already have as a complement for, if we need to sell those flips. Obviously we have our brokerage in house. If we need to manage, we already got the management in place. So it's been fun to start that in our backyard and connect with investors through different meetups and stuff that can get involved and just offer a kind of a unique opportunity. So that's been something that's been exciting to look at. And we kind of launched right in the middle of right around March or so, or towards the April, and so kind of a weird way to start, but we've just been more conservative, given the environment. But that's been an exciting thing to kind of launch and get off the ground and try to get running through the end of the year here, and hopefully we're off to the races next year. But we're actively looking to buy properties, mostly in Hillsborough and Pinellas. And when investors ask us what we're kind of looking for, we stay on the lower side of things, the first time home buyer, move up range, but nothing that's we're going to sell on the market for over, let's say, $400,000. So we just encourage any other fix and flippers out there that are curious about what should we do. Your low days on market are always important. We're not doing any large additions or adding second stories and that sort of thing. So I think it's still a good market to be flipping in, just being conservative, extending the length of construction, maybe depending on permits and stuff like that. So it's something that we're remaining active in and encouraging other investors to continue to implement their strategy, just be a little more cautious and add a couple more buffers in there as well.
Tell me how the deal is structured. It's a privately placed deal. Is it structured like a REIT, or is it? How does it work?
It's set up as a 506B Reg D, so it's not a syndication or a REIT or anything. It's we're basically, it's a mixture of accredited and not accredited investors that we're able to take part in. So if people go to deployedcapitalgroup.com, they can see some of the stuff that we have going on and can connect with us through there. But the way it's set up with the SEC, we have to have kind of a couple points of contact with people before we can really dig into the details, since it's not an accredited only fund where we can basically go out and advertise. So we have to be a little more strategic about building relationships and that sort of thing before we talk about getting people involved as far as investors. But yeah, so it's we have a management team and then a fund that we're managing and set up. So we have the PPM and everything to outline what we can invest in and can't invest in and that sort of thing.
So many in the real estate world, they're kind of cowboys, and they're out there. They'll raise money and they'll buy stuff together, and actually that's a security, right? And so you guys you have done some partnerships that are non-securitized, and then you finally stepped over the edge and into the world of needing security. And so talk to us about how you arrived at that conclusion that that's what you needed to do. This is what you were going to do in order to achieve it. Can you talk a little bit about the decision process on what structure you decided to go into?
Yes. So most of the time, the benefit of having a fund where it's accredited investors only is you can openly promote. You can go on the street corner, you can advertise online that you're raising capital, and that sort of thing. So it's much easier to publicize what you're doing, but people have to meet the accreditation for here is if they're filing their taxes on their own, it's $200,000 as far as income for the past 2 years, expected to make that in the future or the next year. If they file jointly, then it's $300,000 or a net worth of $1 million, excluding the primary residence. So obviously, not everybody meets that. So it can be more challenging, especially as it's our first fund. Investors that are accredited are, what's your track record? How many people are currently involved? So it can be harder to kind of get up and moving. Our natural environment with the TB RIA and the investor meetups that we run, we got people with self-directed IRAs, Advanta, NewView, those companies that may have less to place and don't meet the accreditation status. So that's why we wanted to, although we can't really openly promote about it, we have to build through relationships. We opted to go that way because we can have, just kind of like my parents as a good example. They wouldn't meet the accredited status, but they would maybe have an opportunity to get involved with what we're getting involved in on the ground floor and in our local market. So that's why we decided to go with the structure that we did. Might take a little bit longer to really get up and running to the amount of capital we want to manage to really do a lot of things at scale. But I think it makes the most sense. And we just got connected with a couple of good power team members as far as putting the paperwork together and the accounting side and the fund management stuff. So yeah, well, that's why we decided to go that route. But I've seen other people do the syndications and that sort of thing as, per deal specific things as well. It seemed to align with the interests and the kind of culture and the idea that we started with and that we've been building with the brokerage and the property management to go with that kind of fund structure.
Awesome. Jeremy, folks want to get in touch with you if they want to get involved with your deal or to sell you something. They've got a deal for you. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so I think the best would be to Jeremy just my first name, Jeremy, at Outfast Property Management. So OUTFAST propertymanagement.com. And we can connect through there. You can also find me on, Facebook, LinkedIn, Jeremy Kloter, Kloter. And I'm the only one with my name. So it's usually pretty easy to find us and connect with us. And yeah, happy to just hop on a call, meet in person, whatever it is, we're available.
Terrific. Hey, Jeremy, really appreciate you investing time with us and our listeners today. Is there anything else before we let you go?
No, I mean, I think it's still a good time to be investing. If you're unsure where to start, this is a great podcast. Finding a local meetup is going to be your best way to build your power team and make sure you're connecting with the right people and asking for referrals or introductions to the key members that you need on your team. So it's just finding the pieces to the puzzle, finding people that have done what you're looking to do. That's how we all got started in this. And yeah, we're just happy to help. So if there's something that you're curious about getting assistance with, and we don't necessarily have the experience with it, we're going to be upfront about it and connect you with the right people that can help you get to the end goal, depending on what your strategy looks like.
Awesome. Hey, Jeremy, really appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you some more of the meetups finally when we can have real contact again. So
yeah, no, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on the show. All
right, buddy. Thank you. And that was Jeremy Kloter with Outfast Realty here in Tampa, Florida. As always, appreciate Jeremy's time, appreciate our guest time, all of our guest time when they come on and invest with us and talk to us and help you and me and everybody to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the market. As always, for great guests, just like Jeremy, you can go to www.investfloridashow.com and you can download the app from Google Play Store or from the iTunes Store and listen to it while you are driving or in the gym or walking. Guys, as always, we appreciate the time that you invest with us each and every episode. And until next time, hasta la vista.
You've just listened to the Invest Florida podcast with Eric Odum and Steven Silverman. Join us every week for actionable real estate investment ideas, and of course, visit our website at www.investfloridashow.com for more shows and tips on how to earn a cash flow in the real estate market in Florida. While hosts and producers of the Invest Florida show have no reason to doubt the validity of comments of our guests, we do not warranty their accuracy. Please check with your legal, financial, and tax advisors before entering into any investment. Returns will vary from person to person and deal to deal based on unique circumstances. All information expressed in this show is for educational purposes only. Opinions of the guests are not necessarily shared by the hosts and producers of the Invest Florida show.